welcome to another week at the village. Let's see something. What's going on here? One second. Mm, ooh. Thank you for tuning in, family. Um, one second. Ooh. All right, so welcome. How we doing, John?
Blessed, and always blessed. And just want to say to the villagers, welcome. Looking
Welcome.
forward to you know, what's interesting is the holiday season is fast upon us.
Right.
The year is almost to an end. There's going to be, family gatherings. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy New Year. And then
And New Year. Mhm.
New Year.
To
And
go
the
through
shit
this.
starts all over again.
Hopefully a little bit better than the previous year.
Hey, man,
So
let me tell you something. We always say better than the previous year. Thank God to be able to thank God to be present.
yeah,
We take a lot of things for granted,
for real,
but
man, for real. So we notice, we've been talking about our guide here. He's mayor now. What's your thoughts on the whole thing?
well, I mean, I think it looks like Mandami's mayoralty will be a reflection uh, of the De Blasio mayoralty.
Mm,
It seems like he's relying on a lot of uh, De Blasio's retreads uh, uh, to not only being on his transition, but also I know Dean Foulihan from the days up in Albany. He was very good, budget guy, numbers crunches with respect to Shelley. He was very good, dealt with him on a few occasions during the budget. So I mean, he's going for experience.
gotcha.
But this is definitely going to be a de Blasio 2.0 administration. I hear he's talking to Tish, and let's see what he does. You know what I'm saying? The jury's out, so I'm not going to rain on his parade. He won, so I want to see the city succeed.
Yeah. Yep. I definitely say that too. Just to wait and see what's going on. I mean, I like what he stands for and everything. He really speaks on a lot of integrity.
I
What he
mean,
thinks.
the court. We can speak on the issue, but it's
Yeah.
about the effectiveness of the issue,
Yeah.
and let's see what happens.
For real. For real. Um, you see, the what's the name? Government shutdown, longest in history, and now it's open back. Um, what do you think on what's going on there? Long term impacts, and should we not even have um uh uh this shutdown going on anymore? I mean, it's
Let me tell you
August.
something. I'm just how can I say this? I'm disappointed at what did we get out of this. We got a phantom framework for a vote on the subsidies, healthcare subsidies. It's not a promise that it will pass. It's just a vote, and we know what their goal is to defeat it. The House is never going to take it up. Even if it passed, will the House take it up? I don't know. I guess they want to try to get people on the record
Yeah.
to see if they, voted on it. But then, why did you shut down the government to just get a promise? And that's why it's just disappointing. Everybody doesn't realize when you're a leader, it's very hard to hold your members,
Yeah.
especially Democratic members. Democrats, villagers are the worst.
Damn.
They do not know how to stay together. a little bit of chaos, a little bit of controversy. You're ready to jump ship. You're ready to bail. You know, these same individuals, we would have never had the civil rights acts in the 60s because people were literally dying in order for us to give us a right to vote. But these class of elected officials, the little whim of a little controversy, a little adversity, they're ready to give up. And this is the difference between them and Republicans. Republicans know how to stay the course, weather the storm, because they know that after every storm, there will be a rainbow. So let's hold on until we can see that rainbow. And that's what they did. They stayed together, stayed together. The SNAP benefits. People saying the Republicans, but they stood. They stood together. And now the only thing you hear about is the Democrats cave. The Democrats cave. Now they're going after Chuck Schumer. Chuck Schumer did the best he could to hold as long as he could. I'm surprised he held it that long because those who voted for this, you know, it's not about. It's, you know, my pastor, Pastor Bernard, always says there's a difference between your convictions and your preference. You know, in this instance, those Democrats who crossed over to vote, they had no conviction.
Yeah.
They had no conviction at all. This was a situation that they saw an opportunity that they could not deal with the pressure no longer. So they took what was preferable, what was popular. They did not hold, because you know what? The Republicans would have buckled. Because as soon as everybody was concerned about the holidays, yes, let the holidays roll on. Let everybody get caught up in at the airport, flights canceled, let them feel it. You know, the whole point is let their people feel the pain that we feel.
But remember too, really, that the pain wouldn't only be on the Republican side, also be on the Democrat side. Because while the shutdown happened and they were trying to make sure that they secure the healthcare credits, tax credits for people who are gonna need it, it would still be hurting people on both sides. So we also had even, I guess, predicted as well that Democrats was gonna cave, because I always think that the Republicans, them, if I was supposed to describe them as a particular binary, Republicans would be seen as villains and Democrats would be seen as heroes. And this is from probably a Democratic perspective too. Regardless, villains don't care what happened. Villains just gonna do what they do and that's it. But heroes feel like, we gotta make sure that the people are okay. And I think that's what happened.
Yeah, you know what, Andre? Yeah. I take exception to that. Yeah. Because I wouldn't call the Republicans characterized as villains and Democrats as heroes. I characterize as Republicans. They stood up for what they believed in. They believed that was their conviction. They stood up. We were going to stay up as long as possible, and our people would understand it, and our people would respect us for doing that. But now, the Democrats can't come and say they're going to shut down the government again, because the people are going to say, for what? So they're not going to be in supportive of the Democrats if they jump into a situation like this again. No, it's like the boy who cried wolf. You cried wolf so many times. When a real wolf comes, nobody's going to come to your rescue. The Democrats, same thing happened.
Yeah.
Good evening.
What's up, Roger? Just talking about the shutdown and how Democrats have ended up giving up. Thoughts on that real quick.
Yeah, I was listening to some of it, and I John, you and I look at the Democrats, and I say this as a Democrat, we're very weak.
What you said?
I said, as Democrats, we're very weak
We're what?
We're weak. It's like
Yeah,
almost like
definitely.
we stand for nothing.
We have no spine. No, none.
We think that we take the moral, social high road, and and we're helping people. But
A bit low.
one thing I love about the Republican, they don't care. They don't care. Not one flea flicker.
Roger, we got to be careful. It's not that they don't care.
No, when I say don't care, what I mean is like they're not gonna be wishy washy, right? They're gonna stand their ground on whatever they're standing in. The Democrats, it just seems to me like they're always caving in. That's what I mean. Not that they don't care. They care about what they stand for, and they're not willing to break protocol. And if they break protocol, it's nothing like the Democrats. And a Democrat cannot stand in unity. That's what I'm talking about. They always think that they're smarter than the next one. And I know Democrats don't like it when you say that, but it's true. That's what I meant, John. Not they don't, they they stand for what they believe in. So that's the problem. I know we have our guest. I think I see
We got 3 minutes.
one on right now. I don't know what you read into the Jerry Epstein file. I don't know if you spoke about that. We have
No, we didn't speak about that.
I don't know what to, and like
Roger, you're a bit low. Can you turn up?
I'm driving in the car. It's actually
Okay.
It's actually a full volume. So I'm not sure.
All right.
But what I'm saying is that Jazane is looking to get her sentence commuted or getting full pardon. And you can clearly see that there was something about Jerry Epstein and Donald Trump and all of the pardons that he gave out this week. Some of them are frivolous. Some of them don't make no sense, but he still did it in the symbolic way. So I'm just wondering, is how much of protecting of himself is he doing, and his legacy? And speaking of legacy, we also have the feud now going on between Mamdani and Eric Adams. So this legacy.
I don't think there's a feud.
Oh, there is.
No, because from people that I know, they have opened up the transition and everything. And Mandami has said that with respect to the transition, they have been very cooperative with respect to that. The papers are trying to make it an issue regarding one project, and Eric, the mayor, already put everything in motion. So it's already in motion. It has been, and he did what he has to do. But as to the transition, he has been very cooperative. This is from the people who are actually involved in the transition.
No, the transition itself is going smoothly, very smoothly over the next 7 weeks. You're going to see even more things come out. So I'm not saying that he's not doing that. I'm just saying that there is a feud, and it's just. But we don't have time to address that. I'm just talking about in terms of the legacy of leaders, and I'm talking about that with Donald Trump as well as Eric Adams, looking at the securing their legacy. If you are able to shut up Jazane and you're able to keep the Epstein files out of the media and out of Congress, you are almost cementing your legacy, not only as the second two-term non-consecutive president, but also the president to be defeated by the most, and also the president to have the most major turnaround in being elected to office. So, but I'm just saying, I think it's just overall legacy, and I think that people need to know what happened in their relationship what's going on with Jerry Epstein and Donald Trump, even though the emails were very vague.
Brother, who the hell cares? People want their SNAP benefits. People want to put food on the table. Jerry Epstein is dead. Epstein is dead. Trump is the president.
John,
Let's move on.
no,
Let's stop
you-
getting caught up in the weeds.
John, you can't be a Democrat in this one. You can't
No,
be
no,
like,
no, 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 no. I agree with John to a degree because I think what people really want is to see how Trump is connected, and then I guess use that itself to try and like get him out of presidency or whatnot. But I do think that, and then focusing on what the people really need. Listen, I want my SNAP benefit, bro. I want to be able to get the things
well,
that I need
if
from my family and
people,
all that,
you,
all those
you
other
got
things.
you got to understand the 40 million people plus who are on. They didn't lose their benefit. They're about to, especially if you're in New York State.
I want
It
to
was
work.
it was supplied, and people could go ahead and people were scared. But what I'm concerned about are the people who working at the airport. Those people didn't get full benefits. They didn't get full pay. And and some of them who didn't go to work or might have quit their job, not quit their job, but didn't go to work because they couldn't afford to go to work, they're even going to get greater penalties. That's even bigger with the government shutdown than the SNAP benefits.
Right. And they're not thinking about Epstein. They want their work.
Yeah, but I understand that. But I think in terms of from the angle that I brought it up of legacy, right? Of legacy. Remember, one thing's important to leaders is their legacy, regardless of if the people are hungry, if the people are well fed, is their legacy more than everything else that's cemented in history that they want. That's why most people run for office at that high level and try to do different things. So let's not fool ourselves, right? And the media is not going to put something into the papers that people are not interested in.
Who care about this more though, Democrats or Republicans?
I think both, but I
You
think
think Republicans care about this?
Republicans care about it, but I think you're right. Democrats have more to lose with it.
They don't give attention to it. But don't wanna stress on this topic because our guest here and it's 3 minutes.
And also our co-hostess is here too, I think.
Yeah, so let's bring up the guest.
Let's go
All
ahead.
right, Dr. Gaston, ready? All right.
Hi, good night.
Right?
Evening.
Wait, I can't even recognize you, Doctor. I'm telling you, man, you look like 10 years younger from the last time I met you, all the way back in September. What's going on? What fountain are you drinking on?
I appreciate that. Thank you. No,
I-
good. Things are good.
I see school. The kids are making you younger. They make you run around, keeping the pep in your step.
That's true. That's true. They do keep you young.
All right. So thank you and welcome to the Village Radio Talk Show.
Thanks for having me.
Glad to finally have you on after 2 months.
Yeah.
But we got it done. And hopefully we will be doing a lot more work together to get some things done
Sounds
for
good.
our young people within our schools and our district. And welcome to the Village. As you know, I'm Roderick Daly. I'm the host. Joining us is John Sampson, our co-host, and our illustrious co-hostess, Dr. Joanne Bryant.
Hi, nice to
Doctor-
meet you.
Evening.
Yeah.
You know,
Good evening, doctor. Good evening, doctor.
Good evening. Nice to meet you all.
and Dr. Bryant loves to ask this question, so I'm gonna. I just I couldn't wait for her to interrupt me to ask the question. So
Oh, never that. Never that.
Let me hear her
How-
interrupt me to ask the
Oh,
question.
Lord. So he likes me to ask you, please, tell us about yourself. Just a little. Share a little about yourself with us.
Okay. Well, born and raised in Brooklyn. From East Flatbush. I say I rep East Flatbush and Brownsville. My parents are from the Caribbean, from Barbados, and yeah, I am a long time educator, and am just excited to be here and share a little bit of the work that we've been doing.
Awesome. What are some of the works you've been doing thus far?
Yeah, so I started out my career, most of my career, actually, all of my career has been in charter school education. So started out as a teacher, working with a charter school located in Bed-Stuy. and then transitioned to a network, Ascend Public Charter Schools, where I was for 10 years, and pretty much had every job, teaching, deaning, worked my way up to principal. Then I was a managing director where I managed 5 middle schools and a high school. And then for the last 5 years, I've been the executive director at PAVE Academy Charter School in Red Hook, Brooklyn.
So I just want to point out one thing. Remember, I started out how much younger she looked, Dr. Bryant? When you hear her resume, right, does it sound like somebody who's been in education that long? When you look at her and listen to her resume, right? Think about it, right?
I am young. I mean, I think, I was a principal pretty young. I think I've had, I would say in some ways, a little bit of an accelerated career, but I've been in the field for over 15 years.
Right. See, right? Don't worry, Dr. Bryant she's been in the system for a while too, and she looks pretty damn young. I guess they say back don't crack, and I guess that's
true.
Cannot
deny that.
The two of you are very much indicative of that. So I'm really glad to have you. And my next question is, talk about a little bit of the work. We did, and I would love to invite, for you to have our show actually do a live walkthrough of your school when that's feasible. If you could, backstage create that with Andre to make that happen. But so tell us about your work. Tell us about, your interest, the type of kids, demographics, those things. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. All of my career, I've served Black and brown children. Like I said, I am born and raised in Brooklyn, and it is just such a privilege and opportunity to serve students who look like us and have similar experiences and backgrounds as me. I would say, one of the things that has been really core to, I guess, my career, to success in my career, is really establishing a foundation that's based on love. And I think that's been I guess you would say my claim to fame is just transforming. And I would say it started in classrooms, transforming grades, transforming schools with a foundation of love. And so I believe in serving our children, our communities with excellence. And I think, the work that we've done, particularly at PAVE, we've just really proven what's possible when you do it well, and from the right place.
What does PAVE stand for?
PAVE is actually an acronym. It's Perseverance, Achievement, Vibrance, and Excellent Character.
Tell us a little bit about your background.
Okay.
Tell us a little bit where you started. I know you and I talk about your schooling. We want to talk about that a little bit, and just bring us up to date how that led you to. Because when you and I spoke back in September, you talked about how your schooling kind of drove you to where you are in terms of what you want to do. So let's talk about that little bit of background and tie that in with.
Oh, you want to go that far back? Okay. Well, how long do we got?
We have parents. We have parents on all spectrum that listen to our show, and families, and the show it stays on the web for a while, so people can always go back to it and check it out. So they want, creating that similarity, so people understand that it wasn't necessarily easy, and so even though you're talking about it and it seems easy, like a lot of times people don't understand there's background work that gets involved in that. So that's why I wanted to start from the get-go from the back to the front.
Okay. I'll do my best. Well, as I said before, I was raised in East Flatbush, and my parents are from Barbados. So I am a child of immigrants, and we were not wealthy by any means. And so, grew up, frankly, poor. But my parents really had a high standard for my brother and I, and of course, like many families, just reinforced the significance of education. And so, while I started out my educational, career, so to speak, in public schools, I had the opportunity to be a part of a program called Prep for Prep, which in short takes you, from public school, places you in private school. There's a 14-month preparatory component. I mean, they prepare you for it. They ensure that you have, the supports in place to be able to make it through, because it's a very rigorous program, and they support you, through the transition to a private high school, because it's predominantly white. It can be a bit of a culture shock, and they also support you all the way through college. And so I had the opportunity to go to Poly Prep for high school, and then I went on to Georgetown. I went on to Harvard. I have another master's from Hunter, and I just finished my doctorate at Vanderbilt University. And so, one of the things that we've talked about is, I feel, I don't believe in luck. I believe, but I feel very blessed. And I think one of the reasons why I ended up getting into this work is because—
Well, they say luck. What is luck? Is when preparation meets opportunity.
Yes. But I just also believe, I also believe in God's favor. I think God really smiled on me. I think you're right, for sure. I don't want to make it seem like we didn't roll up our sleeves and there wasn't some work that got me here, for sure, between my parents and myself. But
Doc, I want to get into something with you right now.
Yeah.
You see what's going on in Washington, D.C. with the president want to basically dismantle the Department of Education. Now you have the mayor who's coming, Mayor-elect Mamdani, who talks about eliminating those specialized high school test exams, talking about universal pre-K. Where do you think, or what's your opinion, for the outlook of education under the administration coming in, and also the present administration in DC?
Yeah. It's a lot of noise. It's a lot of noise. I will say, I think Mamdani wants to do good things for the people of New York. I, like many people, have questions as to how and what's the policy and what's the process. I think that, my experience is that it really comes down to what's actually happening on the ground. Obviously, policies, politics, position structures, of course, impact what's happening on the ground. And so I'm not to say that those things don't matter, but I don't know that I've sufficiently heard about what is going to happen to shift the quality of the schools in our neighborhoods.
Mm-hmm.
So, I can be on board for universal 3K, pre-K, daycare. But what's going to ensure that it's good? Like what are going to be the things in place to ensure that it's top quality?
Exactly. You hit it right on the head.
Doesn't always
you can have it, but how are we going to ensure that it is good?
Mm-hmm.
Would that affect your school, Pave?
I think, a stronger pre-K programs, or even before pre-K, it helps parents for sure. I don't know that it would impact us. You have to have a track record of results, and we have a track record of results. Parents want to put their kids in a place that they know is going to be great. And so I don't know that we have enough data to suggest that that's going to be the case yet.
So let me follow John's question follow up on John's question. His ambitious proposal, the media is suggesting that it's going to cost around $6 billion to even begin, and he himself says it's going to take a couple of years to even get this done or even get it started, which would be lead into a second term, right? Bloomberg. So let me set the stage of my conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Bloomberg made students more test ready, more test prep, they take away from teaching and learning, got rid of certain, and focus a lot on the core four. So he really he talked about the arts, he talked about this, talked about that, but he pulled enrichment programs from school. Bill de Blasio came in more laissez-faire, like, oh, we need to do this, and he tried to get rid of the special high school exam and made it more, created a program like Dream and other things that I was a part of to try to do that. Eric Adams came in, try to bring things back together, trying to build a bridge between Bill de Blasio, what Bill de Blasio did, what Mike Bloomberg did. And here comes Mamdani, who says, I want to do all of these things, but I want to even roll back more on de Blasio's policy. So and you have a president who's directly at odds with, right, who might find a way to get him deported, right? But you never know, right? But the fact is they're directly at odds in terms of education. Look at your school, PAVE. And Mamdani brought up a very good point today, that the cost of early childhood education is driving many parents to leave New York, and they're removing them from our schools. Talking about your school directly.
Mm-hmm.
That history I just gave, and moving forward, what is your hope? What is your fear for PAVE as you sit now with teachers? Because I'm sure these questions are coming up.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, yeah, absolutely. I mean, enrollment is a challenge everywhere. There are a lot of people who are leaving New York City because they find it grossly unaffordable, right? Mm-hmm. And so, the work that he's talking about to make the city more affordable, yeah, I mean, it's gotten quite ridiculous.
Why hasn't? But you know what the point is? Why has it gotten quite ridiculous?
I mean, I feel like that's a loaded question. I mean, I think we're still reeling from some of the aftermath of COVID. I mean, and we're seeing lots of inflation. Prices of every single thing has gone up. Cost of housing, the cost even to eat, to feed a family of 4. I have a family of 4. Has skyrocketed. And I think there's a lot of forces, I think, that impact that. So I do think the idea around how to make the city more affordable, I think, would be beneficial to all of us. And I would imagine, my experiences, particularly with big bureaucratic systems like New York City, and I'm sure even New York City, Department of Education, there's probably some waste that needs to be eliminated. And I think we need to think about, where that might be, to think about where some of those funds might be, better directed, for sure. But I too have questions, and I'm curious to see, some of these ideas sound great. They seem lofty. But I don't know the path towards some of these outcomes that they're talking about.
Is PAVE a Christian charter school? Because I know there's different types of charter schools.
Yeah. No, it's not religious based.
Okay. And what grades do you guys go up to?
Yeah, we serve kindergarten all the way through 8th grade.
Okay.
Tell us about some of the programs that you offer at your school. What makes your school unique as a charter school compared to others?
Yeah. I would actually say the thing that makes us most unique is our community and culture. And I mentioned to you before, like I said, our approach is really centered around love. One of our core values is that we're more than a school. And, we believe in caring for the whole child, and I would say also the whole family, if that is necessary. We want to make sure our children are fed, we make sure they're clothed, we make sure that they don't have any barriers to learning. We make sure, if a family needs support with transportation, we're going to provide it. We recognize that we are a school, and yes, there are some limitations, but if our family is in need, we're going to do whatever we can to ensure that that they're okay, so that the child can actually focus on the learning. So I think that's really core. I think that's important to our approach, because that's not necessarily a program. I think that's more about our mindset and the daily work that we do that doesn't always get seen. Mm-hmm. I will also say, we rigorous instruction. I mean, I think there's, we could talk about a lot of things, but the fact of the matter is that Black and brown children who live in poverty can learn. They can learn, they can do hard things, and we do not believe in lowering the bar for them. In fact, our 8th grade students take 3 Regents courses before they graduate. They take U.S. history, living environment, and algebra Regents, and they've been doing extremely well. I mean, which proves once again what our children can do when they are in an environment that loves them and challenges them. We also have an after-school programs. As I said before, you talked about this, Roderick, that, yes, I don't think tests are a bad thing. They're not a dirty word. I think you need tests are okay. But we also think that, arts matter, the sciences matter.
Well, you need well-rounded students,
Absolutely. That was one of the things at Poly Prep that I thought was really key, is that, yes, we had access to great instruction, but it helped that we had a Olympic sized track, right? You could, and fields and things like that. And so that is really, really important to me, that our kids have opportunity to engage in athletics, engage in the arts, engage with technology. I think those things are equally important as math and reading. They teach skills that kids need in order to succeed. I always say this all the time, like, as somebody who's a college graduate, right? You need to be smart, but you also need to exert self-control. You need to be able to have great time management skills. You need to be able to collaborate with others. You need to be able to advocate for yourself. And these are some of the things that I think, like I said before, music and arts and athletics, I think, can help to provide. Although I do think those things can happen in the classroom as well.
Absolutely.
So you perked my son's ear up, Dr. Gett, because I told you he goes to Poly Prep as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he loves Poly Prep.
Me too.
And so he's looking forward to that. There's something that I liked about your school, and that's what I was suggesting, the tour concept.
Yeah.
You offer you like on your doors. Tell us about your doors and your classroom. What do they represent that I find spectacular, especially the introduction of these kids at an early age? And then I have a question, a hard question after that.
Okay.
I'm setting up first.
Okay. I don't know about this setup, but every classroom is named after a college. And we're actually intentional about the colleges that we choose, because we want them to be exposed to PWIs, HBCUs, state schools, Ivy League schools. So we leverage it as an opportunity from as early as kindergarten, just to introduce them to different schools that they may want to consider when it's time for them to apply to college.
So, and you know what? I love that, because a lot of our kids do not get exposed to different colleges at a young age. And sometimes they get pigeonholed into schools that might not be fitting to them, and they don't have a choice. So you giving them the opportunity. What work do you have work with those schools, or that you just choose the name, or do you actually write to the schools and let them know? Do you work with them to say, hey, we have an 8th grader, 9th grader, 7th grader who's interested in art, science, music, whatever, and they ask you questions. You have like college, those things. What level of introduction do you have? That's not the hard question, by the way. That's just a follow-up question.
I would say not as formally as you might think. I think some teachers will do the research, right? So and they may feature, for example, outside of, I think, Georgetown. I mean, outside of the Georgetown classroom, you'll see that they had a bulletin board that had, some of the Georgetown greats, right? So that kids can get a sense of like, okay, this classroom that you're in, it has a culture, has an identity. These are the people who went there. These are the kinds of programs that it has. So we do try to have that conversation. I will say we don't always connect, but I will say those 4th graders at the end of the school year will have an opportunity to go on Georgetown's campus because there's a trip to DC. So we do, when we have trips that are out of state, we try to, even if it's not the colleges that are within the school, in the school building, try to make sure that they actually have an opportunity to see a few college campuses before they graduate, PAVE.
Make sure when I come back, I see Haverford and Haverford, Swarthmore, and
everybody who comes by are always looking for their colleges. There's just so many to choose from.
I see Haverford, Swarthmore, and Amherst. Those are the 3 schools I want to see.
I'll give you a corner. I'll try to get you a corner
There
somewhere.
you go. Right. I said Swarthmore because that's where John's daughter went. The Trico. So the hard question. I was in a meeting last night, and we're talking about the effects of absenteeism on education and on kids. One, what have you seen? What trends have you seen? And then 2, is this something that you find happening in your school area?
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've seen a rise in absenteeism way. I mean, it's way higher than it was pre-COVID. People are keeping their children home for a lot of reasons, not many that I understand or agree with. I mean, and the data, we've shared this with the families. I mean, the data is very clear. When a student is excessively absent, you miss learning and you do not perform as well. I mean, that's kind of intuitive, and it just makes sense. And that's the conversation that we've been having with parents. I will say, back in the day, we would kind of partner with ACS to kind of work with families and figure out what the support is. Now there's that doesn't seem to be a thing, which is fine. I think what we try to do is meet with families to figure out what are the barriers, what are the issues, and what are the things that we can do to ensure that kids are in school, and then even if they are outside of school, what can we do to ensure that they catch up as best as possible. But yeah, I mean, it is definitely an ongoing problem.
How can people reach you, or how can they actually reach you? Because I know that we have our next guest coming up. So what are some lasting words, and how can people reach you?
Great. I mean, I think I guess I would say that at PAVE, we really, really love our kids, and we love our communities, and we seek to serve them the best that we can. And so I think for parents, families who are looking for a place that has strong academic results and an amazing culture, then they should really check us out. They can check us out via our website, paveschools.org. They can feel free to email me at mgadsden@paveschools.org. We do one-on-one tours with families. So if anybody wants to stop by, people are welcome to. You don't have to take my word for it. People can come.
Come on, villagers, see what's going on. See what the doctor says. Let's take advantage of it. There's an opportunity. There's opportunity. Let's get prepared for it.
Yes.
Does your school do busing?
Yes, we have busing, some that we pay for families. We have families coming from Brownsville, Canarsie, East Flatbush, and then we also, of course, take advantage of DOE busing as well.
The producer's asking, what's the website again?
www.paveschools.org.
And also the phone number.
You can, if you feel folks can. I don't
go on the website.
It's on the website. I don't have it off the top of my head, but
go on the website, email her. That's the best way, because you might call somebody and they're not available. So PAVE.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for joining us.
Wait, I'm sorry. And the email, you says M Gadsden?
Yep. MGADSDEN @paveschools.org.
Got it. And thank you so much for joining us, and making sure that we get invited for that tour to walk around and see what they offer. Because I love the tour. I love that one-on-one time that you spend, and I think a lot of our kids would love the opportunity to be involved with your school and get out there as well. And awesome. I asked you the question about busing because I want to know, parents who live in East Flatbush, can they get over to the school, and how would they do that? So
yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you again.
Great to meet you. Thank you.
Thank you, Doc. Thank you very much, Doc.
All right. Bye.
Okay.
Dr. Bryan, when I went to the school, we had what was supposed to be a short visit ended up being a very long visit, because the school is very nice. It's very nice.
Okay.
So glad to have that. Welcome.
Our next guest is here, Mr. Aaron Muller, the Black therapist. Some of you guys might have seen him on TV shows or hear him on the radio. So he is here. He was supposed to be here last month, but he's going to give us some update on what we can do for past, but also thinking about therapy and mental health, which we all need, especially right now. So please, please, please introduce yourself to our community and just share a little about who you are and what do you do.
Well, thank you. Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Aaron Muller. I go by the Black Therapist. I am a licensed clinical social worker and current doctoral student at Simmons University. My focus is Black men's mental health. Which kind of started when I recognized that it wasn't many faces, representation in school. And then when I was in different settings, I found that, hey, can you take this case? And I was bombarded with cases because it wasn't really a lot of Black men in the field. So kind of just raising awareness and consciousness around mental health in our community. That's something that didn't see a lot of conversation back when I started about 10 years ago. I mean, now it's talked about heavily. And so my focus now is kind of just culture responsive strategies. Being in the field for so long, I recognize that the research lacks in like for us and strategies to work with people of color. So that's kind of my focus in my dissertation is going to be, haven't kind of narrowed it down yet, but definitely focusing around culture responsive strategies. And by culture responsive, I mean is like what works for us, right? The research again is heavily European focused, right? When they're doing the research, it's not really much representation of us in those studies. So how can it work for us if we're not included in that sample size? So looking at what is some evidence-based strategies that is effective for Black people, specifically Black men, when we're doing restorative healing and wellness, and just looking at other strategies besides the traditional therapy, because that's not the only way to support us and in our healing process.
Thank you. What would you say is the biggest misconception when it comes to therapy overall?
I mean, one is that it's one that is kind of this mind tricks, or like like you said, to tell me what I'm thinking. Like we're not psychics or anything like that. And that it's for people that are weak or broken, things like that. Because we carry this pressure to be strong and and have it all together. But it's really a place where you can be your authentic self and kind of just unpack things and kind of give you perspective, right? We're not here to tell you what to do, but it's really like I have so many things going on in my head. We just give you voice and language to kind of put things together.
I see. One person I would recommend highly for therapy because he drives me crazy is Roderick, our co-host. He has a way of just like setting up some wonderful ways to say, okay, let me not choke you. So how can I go about in dealing with him? Because I pity his wife that have to deal with him constantly. So what are some strategies that she can use to deal with
here. I'm right here. I'm right here. Right here.
Oh, I mean, I have to take a little bit deeper in terms of what strategy. I guess kind of looking at what are some of his strengths and focusing on that, and not weaponizing the things, the challenges, right? Because that doesn't.
I think his strength is a problem too.
Okay.
His mouth is his strength, which is also a problem.
Right. So I guess just finding when it's appropriate to say certain things and all of that. But clearly
Can you repeat that again?
He's in the right field, right? Look at what he's doing, utilizing his strengths to be a part of the voice. So
look, did you hear that, Roderick? You're muted, but did you hear that?
I'm trying to keep quiet. So
Okay.
listen, all you
You're
have to do
muted,
for her
John.
is
You're muted.
you just have to remember two things.
That's a first. That's a first. Roger trying to keep quiet. That's a first.
So just mention two things. We're gonna mention two things, right? And then you're gonna check that smile off her face. One is bun some weed. You know,
What did you say?
there you
What
go. That's one.
No, I didn't hear
That you
what you
believe in
said.
light firearm. I said bun some weed. You're gonna bun some weed just around you. See. That's all. That's all we gotta say. No, but in all seriousness, tell us about the Black Therapist. How did you come about this title?
The title, well, that also came from not one. I wanted to kind of bring awareness to what I do, and I want to find something that's catchy, something that kind of like sets me apart from everyone else. And there wasn't really a lot of Black men
That's
talking
true.
about therapy out open like this. And I know there's people before me where they wasn't really using the social media platform. Because like I started doing this around the time when Instagram first started. So it's kind of you started posting things. This is before reels and videos was on. It was just straight pictures. So I would utilize Instagram in that form to kind of just provide psychoeducation because I realized that was missing. So we needed our people need to be informed, right? So I believe the only way you could be informed is through appropriate education and culture responsive education. So I'm not going to talk above you. I'm not going to talk below you. So I'm just going to meet you where you are just to educate you on why you may be feeling the way you feel. So that's where the Black Therapist came from.
Yeah.
Before I forget, so we could put it up on the screen at one time, can you tell us your contact so we could put it up on the screen as well?
So mostly on Instagram is the Black_therapist. That's where I post a lot of information and different things that I'm doing. And then when the different radio shows that I'm on, I post like that Monday and Friday.
And what are the different radio shows?
So in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, that's the 94.7 The Block. That's New York's number one for throwbacks. I'm on at kind of around 6:25 on Monday and Friday, and I do the mental health moment on there. And then the Jamal Bates morning show, which is comes on in the South primarily, and a lot of markets down there. You can find him on the jamalbates.com, and that comes on Mondays around 8ish.
Listen, he's busy. You know, it's still very difficult to find a Black male therapist because
Doc, I think just the therapy. To me, you're a therapist, and what are you discovering? What are you discovering of the root causes of some of the things that are impacting our men, our women, our communities? Things that, like the source. What's the root cause? How can we make it more appealable to people to seek therapy on issues that they like? What is the reoccurring issues that you see in Black males, women, and families? Those are the things I want to hear about.
So I mean, and there's many recurring themes. A lot of it may be generational, right? A lot of things come from unaddressed issues from childhood. Some things that we ignored or we just thought that was related to the culture, right? Related to that's how we just do. And when it's not addressed, it manifests into pathology and different behaviors. Another thing is kind of things that are out of control, systemic inequities and racism and microaggressions and all of that. And that also leads to mental health challenges. So it's certain things, like I said, is in our control and certain things that's out of our control. If we look at critical race theory, it addresses how racism embedded in this country, where we look at how Black men were like kind of experiments, right? The Tuskegee experiments and how that passes down, and how people understanding that have mistrust with the medical system, the mental health system, right? So with all of that, it's not just solely just our, doing alone. It's also just systemic inequity.
It is systemic, but we get in our own way. How can we get out of our way so we can move forward?
Right. So again, it's through being responsive to the newfound information, right? So unless you're under a rock, you've been hearing about mental health, right? But if it's still a cultural stigma, if it's still a community stigma, so what we have to do is be supportive of each other be mindful about what we're saying on Instagram, social media, all of those things, because when people are expressing something, we see something in the news, the comments are still very disparaging, right? So it's not going to make people welcoming and want to share, right? So there's still the cultural piece, the community stigma that the research shows that is preventing people from still getting help, right? So if you really want to answer that question, is about being conscious and being kind, right? When someone is going through something. Now that creates community where people more open to share, more open to say like, hey, I'm going through that. How can we support each other and build community? If I feel like I'm going to be ridiculed, I'm less likely to share, and I'm still going to suffer in silence, right? Now we see the opening of men sharing and expressing their needs. Now it's going to now you being sassy. That's the biggest thing now, right? So now you're less inclined to share. So as much as information is out there, as much as people are talking about mental health every day and every night, there's still a contradiction that if you're too aware or too kind of knowing what you want and expressing yourself, then you're questioned about your sexuality or questioned about like all this mental health stuff. So that's the double standard.
That is true. That is true.
I started a group over the last couple of weeks called Surviving Cancer. It's growing slowly, but it's funny. It's still hard, right? To get people to open up, right? To have just it's a group. I try to make it very clear that there's no judgment. It's This group is they're designed to help you talk about um, your interaction with cancer, whether it's through family, through friends, through yourself, and what that means. But it's still is a non. It's still issuematic to get them to open up. My question to you: um, how? What statement do you think would provoke? Because whatever you tell me, I'm going to try it. By the way, um, and I'm going to tell Dr. Bryan so she can give so she could
Update.
tell me what you said. She's in the group, so she could answer. To provoke talk, like because one of the things I find with us cancer surviving us for us who are surviving cancer is that we wait till the bitter end to start open up. Like it's like we don't want to talk about it because we feel like it's going to go away, and it only gets worse, right? Especially if you don't deal with it head on, right? And a lot of times you find people give up, that does cause a shortened lifespan, right? So I want them to, I would love for them to get started in the conversation about opening up. So as a Black therapist, as a licensed clinical social worker, tell me some things that you feel that to have that dialogue, that convo.
All right. So from my, I'm aware of group dynamics. I wouldn't say that I'm well versed in the area of kind of cancer survivors and things like that, but I do know about group dynamics and what it takes to kind of form the group and have it take off on its own, where the group facilitator is kind of just there, but it's kind of built its own speed, right? And it starts from kind of building and normalizing that, right? Normalizing that people's different experiences. And it may start from one person modeling that vulnerability about how difficult it is, and the different experiences, and finding out where everybody is. You may have to name it, like where they are in that process, right? In terms of the survivor piece, because maybe they know other people who may not have survived it, right? And there may be some survivor's remorse from that process. So kind of exploring where everybody is in their survival, right? Are you still in that experience of reliving or rehashing going through treatments and things like that, or the first time you heard the news and things like that? So really finding where everybody is right now, right? And also finding out how the family, right? How did it impact the family things? Or maybe there's still long lasting effects. Maybe they couldn't work, so there's still some financial piece behind it. So them coming to the group is kind of like the beginning, right? And you want to acknowledge that, you know, we appreciate you being here. And some people may step up and some people may step back, because just being in that space is healing for them. So finding out what everybody needs. Not everybody may not need to speak up, but just feeling and being in that space and feeling validated, like, wow, I experienced that too, is what's therapeutic for them. I think finding out what everybody needs. Do they need advocacy, and what continued supports do they need?
So, Dr. Brian, you hear that, right? So I'm expecting for you to put that in. Right?
Real
I
cute.
talk a lot. She has never spoken in the group, by the way. It's not even one time, not even hello. So I'm just putting her on the spot. But she
You know
said-
what? Also,
Wait,
I
wait,
want
hold
you.
on. I'm defending you. Wait. I'm defending you here, Dr. Brian. It's saying this is one of the reasons why she want to choke me. All right. So let's just go back to that concept, right? Put her on the. I do. No, in all seriousness, you're right. To step up, we do have people who are vocal in the group, and they speak and share. I think that's a good help.
Roderick, are you in New York? Or are you away? He might be away, I think.
Is it me? Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can hear you.
I'm breaking up. Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like some days I want to start off with a question, or with a statement, or a provocative statement, or something that lends to conversation. Right. Today I did natural medication and things like that, but I only had 2 people.
He has horrible internet access right now. So he didn't give you the backstory that he is a cancer survivor.
I'm sorry.
So that
I'm sorry.
forgot to tell you.
Yeah.
Roderick, we can't hear you, and I'm not sure if he's even in the United States right now. So that part. Oh, you're home. Okay. Your internet is horrible. But anyway, Roderick, we'll come back to you once your internet is working. Can you tell us, I know that you've worked with UPS and Verizon. What role do you believe employers play supporting the mental health of their teams, especially men of color?
Workplace can be a real source of pressure. So I definitely talk to companies around providing that emotionally brave environments. So that's normalizing conversations around psychological safety and what that looks like. Being mindful about implicit bias and microaggressions in the workplace. And calling out when, you know, those things happen. Because when employees feel supported as people, not just workers, better morale, you know, retention, less call out, all of those things. So I kind of frame it to companies that way, is that providing that, being aware of your employees' emotional wellness, how important that is for your bottom line.
How does that tie in with also community organizations? Like similar to what Roderick was saying, I think he's trying to build it more like a community base, because he's noticing a trend with people, more and more people who are
Did she freeze also?
Yeah, I think she froze also. You know, I think, you know, go ahead, Doc.
Okay.
I'm like, yo, that's what I get for jinxing him, not jinxing him, but making fun of him. And then my internet decides to act a fool. But yeah,
Pay your bill, Doc. Pay your bill.
I did. Trust me, I did. But definitely his is affiliated to trauma based, I would say, or something that, you know, is hard for some people to deal with.
Yeah.
Whereas community also might be dealing with trauma based too, from a death or a murder or something happening in the community. How do you deal with that? The community based mental health. How would
Well, similarly is having those supports and resources in place, acknowledge it, allowing people to have space to express, right? I think when we suppress it or normalize it, that kind of just adds to the status quo of that's how we handle things, right? You just deal with it and move on. But naming it, creating space for people to process it, and ongoing supports, not just that performative thing in the beginning, but throughout, um, creating space for those conversations. So community organizations is truly important because in addition to that, I do EAP services. So for organizations that may have suffered sudden death of an employee or things like that, I'm deployed to organizations to have those conversations with staff and then provide additional resources for them for ongoing support after that.
Thank you. John, I cut you off. You were asking.
No, I just think that the triggers that exist in could be family, community, that really also the stigma that exists about those who utilize, coming into mental health because it's real, and I think more of it's a family conversation, community. Sometimes they feel more in a group setting in which you could show them that their people are feeling the same way they are feeling. And I think we need to have more conversations about it in school, churches, and community, putting things together where we just talk about these things. Because at some point in time, we all need a therapist to really talk about things that we have hidden inside of us, that we bury inside of us. And we need someone to release it because that could be the trigger that prevents you from forward progress.
Absolutely. And I like how you mentioned community spaces, community such as churches, schools, barbershops, all of that. Those are kind of havens for people in our community. So when we kind of shift from the outside model of just a traditional therapy room, but bringing in our culture, that kind of ties into that from familiarity, so that people can say, hey, I may not want to go to a therapy space, but I went to my church and we had an opportunity to have that conversation. In my barbershop, right, we're having actual real supportive conversation, not the one where someone is sharing their narrative, which is cool, but it's not the most supportive and helpful, right? So it's kind of guided conversation where it's more towards understanding and resolve as opposed to just regurgitating hurt and spewing that hurt to other people, right? But a real thoughtful, intentional conversation. And that's where someone who has expertise and trained is important that they're a part of that, to kind of guide people in that intentional direction.
Do you do a lot of barbershop conversation?
So I've done a few here and there. I just did kind of, it wasn't in a barbershop, but it's a barbershop theme. I did it down in Hampton, Virginia for the Hampton Road School District. So it was barbers in there, kind of barbershop chairs, that whole feel. And I was, having conversation and they was able to get free haircuts. And these were for the dads in that community, in that school district. So, what I'm saying, and how dope that is to be able to process and, feel good while you're getting a cut, right? Because we know even affordability is a challenge, right? So not everybody has the luxury of getting a haircut. So even just that was a, access to for people who are not able to, and then to have
some of the, when you talk about that whole issue, I understand it. You talk about the affordability and the luxury of getting a haircut, but it seems that we never have we talk about affordability in our communities, but when we look at our children, they always got the most expensive sneakers and the clothing and all the name brand stuff.
Right.
And what is that about?
Right.
What
So
it,
that so definitely, so that's one aspect of people that we see, right? That has that where their focus is the clothing, right? Because to their understanding,
material stuff.
because that to their understanding, hey, that is what makes me acceptable in society, right? Or I've never had it before, so this is what makes me feel good, right? So they find value in that, right? And there's a sector of people where there's truly not even the opportunity to even get one Jordan, much less two, right? And I'm talking about one foot, right? So there's that level, right? So there's definitely different layers, right? We see those folks where processing what does the Jordans mean to you, right? It means I've made it, right? And we look at the black man, like the first thing is like, yo, when I first make money, it's like I'm gonna get my chain, right? So that's something I've been pining for, wanting for a long time, right?
Mhm.
And money means like things is going to change.
Right.
But money, now that I got these Jordans, I'm gonna feel better, and not understanding that that is not is it feels good in that moment, but that doesn't change, shift trauma, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So this and it's about education and formula. Like there's nothing wrong with looking good, but if you don't feel good on the inside, then it's not going to change anything.
That's true.
But right, but when I look at access and access and affordability and some of the challenges in terms of getting people the help that they need, uh, getting their basic needs met, like such as food, clothing, and shelter, we look at the insecurities that's also a big challenge, right? So when we have the barbershop talks, is just like, yo, there's actual men that are providing for their family, but like I'm not gonna get a haircut because we don't have that. Only thing I could do is go, oh, I don't have the time because I'm going to work two and three jobs, right? So I'm in New York City. I'm going to the barber after this. My barber's open at 10, right? So I can go. But in some other states, I know
Right.
people like you going to barber at 10 o'clock. You're right. They close at 6 and 7, 8. So if I get off late,
Mm-hmm.
I don't get that, right? So I don't. So if I take off and say, yo, I'm going to my kids' event at their school and they and there's a free haircut. Again, that's accessibility, right? So but that's a great question, John, about just in terms of that's a mindset shift that has to take place, right? And there's nothing wrong with looking good, but it's also about the other stuff, like how you pouring into your mind as well.
Now, how do you connect with the female therapist? Because I know, hey, I got to bring in my female therapist.
Mhm.
Do you guys do something together, joint?
I mean, the sisters is doing they thing. Like they have their conferences, they make it happen. Like I know plenty. You know what I'm saying? My wife is one. So she's doing her thing as well. So yeah, they're out there.
Do,
Make it
do
happen.
you do a joint one where it becomes a family dynamic, or is that mainly male and mainly female? It doesn't become a family dynamic.
So I do couples sessions too. So I work with couples.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you do it all, my friend.
Too much.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing. We need the black therapist. We surely do. So
No, definitely, and I think it was a pleasure that you're on tonight, and we look forward. Hopefully, we can bring you back.
No, it's always a pleasure. When I got the invitation, I said for sure.
but how can people reach you again? Just one more time. Andre, can you put it on the screen? And a great way, thank you again. How can people reach you? Reach out for the Black Therapist, find out more about you, tune in to your shows. Please repeat one more time so we can share it with our listeners.
Yes, catch me at the black_therapist on Instagram. People reach out, any questions, stuff that you like to hear or see me kind of talk about, post, or anything like that.
And tomorrow morning, what time?
It's early, 6:25. I get your weekend started the right way with a mental health moment. on Fridays.
Friday
You say
morning.
catch me at what? No,
The black therapist underscore therapist, right?
The black therapist.
catch me. Okay. The black therapist underscore. You said.
No, the black underscore therapist.
Okay, so I messed it up.
All right, baby, take us home, Andre. Take us home.
And
Because at
tomorrow
first I was like,
morning,
is it catch me at 2? I was like, wait a minute.
No.
That's you.
and tomorrow morning, 94.7
94.7 the block.
94.7 the block. So I'll be tuning in 9:25, not 9:30.
6:25.
Oh, Jesus.
94.7.
6:25. I will be tuning in 6:25
You said 94.7. Say that again. 94.7 what?
FM.
Oh, FM. Gotcha.
So thank you
Thank you
for
so much.
joining us. We appreciate you and the work that you do in our community. Please do not be a stranger.
Yes, thank
And
you for the
God
invite.
bless.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, villagers, for joining us. Keep safe, keep healthy, keep building wealth, and have a great night, man. See you all next week. All right.
Good night.
Peace out.